Hey everybody, welcome to another awesome episode of No Way Jose, starring 212 legend, Arnold Classic champion, two-time New York Pro champion, 12-time Pro champion, the Boston Mass Jose Raymond. What's up, Jose?
What's up, Ron? How we
So
doing?
we just got back from New York Pro a couple days ago. Um, I want to clear up something real quick because on another channel, and I don't mention them, and I don't care if people get mad that I don't mention who they are, but Romano and Dave started speculating that I had this other guy, John. I had him planned to do the wrap ups and everything with me, the coverage as an insurance policy, and I was just hoping to find like a big name at the show, like you. And they think I just sort of stumbled upon you at the show and said, "Hey, Jose, you're a much bigger name than him. I'm going to use you instead," which is not the case. We had arrangements. You worked with me at the New York Pro last year. We did coverage. The
We've
Olympia, you
done
were
the Isle,
there.
we've done the Olympia, we've done.
So this, and we requested press passes for me and you like well over a month before the show. We had hotel reservations, all that. So it was that was completely inaccurate. I just want to clear that up for anyone who watched that podcast, just so they know the truth about that.
Oh, how how did Dave and Romano say that? What do you mean?
We were speculating because John thought he was doing the coverage with me, and I was willing to do cover. I was going to do some sort of little interview or something with him.
But
Something I was
how is this news? The-
I don't know because he's left MD. He's took his show back to his channel, the Muscle Talk and everything. I don't want to make a more of a big deal out of it. I just want to let people know that uh, we had planned on working with you the whole time. It wasn't some last minute thing where we ditched him and replaced him with you. It was always intended to be me and you covering the New York Pro from many weeks before. We talked about it back as far right after the Arnold. We started talking about it. So yeah, I just want to get that out of the way. But let's move on to more. We'll wrap up the New York Pro real quick because you did have three people in the show and they all came in great shape as I knew they would. So let's start at the top of the food chain as far as people you see every day. Nate Tello making his pro debut in the 212, 42 years old. Didn't get the placing he wanted, but man, I thought he looked spot on. He definitely belonged up there. Yeah, how pleased were you with the way he showed up at the show?
I loved it. I thought it was by far his best. He looked, as far as condition goes, he was phenomenal. I would say he was the top two conditioned guys in the 212, top
Mm.
three, along with my other guy. But what Nate lacks is the leg sweep, the fullness in the quads that some of the younger other guys have. In his upper body, he's so wide through the shoulders that it even exaggerates the fact that his legs aren't huge. They're not bad. In fact, his hamstrings and calves are gigantic. He probably had the biggest calves in the show, open or 212. But yeah, he just didn't get a good look. So we're back to the drawing board. We're gonna go to Toronto in a week and a half, and the plan is to bring him a little fuller, but not ruin. What makes him good is his condition.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I was very happy with this placing. I wish he got a better look, maybe a better call out. And here's the thing: there were certainly guys that beat him that weren't even close to his condition. Many of them, but they had bigger legs, or that they were bigger. And I think sometimes in a show like this that the judges judge what's in front of them, meaning that if there's 11 guys that are big, full, and round, but not so conditioned. And then there's, a couple of guys that are really conditioned, but they're not as big. They don't, they go with the bigger guys. And, my eye always goes to the guy that looks like he's the most polished and put in the work and he's balanced and this and that. But it doesn't always work that way. So especially when you have seven judges. So yeah, it was
You had another 212. You had Mark Lobliner, and that was
yeah,
also
it's
his
old
pro
line.
debut was low blinder. That was his pro debut as well.
Yeah.
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 So
Mark was awesome. Another guy who was phenomenally conditioned. He was healed. But Mark is Mark. He's got so much going on through his prep that his training style is very different than what I would try to recommend. He's doing more functional training, and he that's what brought him in crazy condition. But I don't think Mark has the time to dedicate to be a Nick Walker or a Ian Valliere. These guys live, breathe, and shit bodybuilding 24/7. And Mark has so many other balls in the air. But for someone who does what Mark does on a daily basis, he looked incredible and was in great condition. He has a few genetic things that hold him back. Doesn't have the huge arms. You know about that, Ron.
yeah.
He doesn't have huge legs, but everything was separated, conditioned, polished. He did a great job in my mind. But it's just, and I'll say this year's New York Pro 212 was way, way better than last year's, way tougher. And that will evidence to that is the Korean, the mass. He placed 5th this year, and he was 2nd last year. He wasn't a whole lot worse this year. He was bigger, but not as conditioned. But he wasn't peeled last year either. So this year 212 at New York was great. So anyone who made it to the stage and they represented themselves well, and Mark was one of them for sure. My other person was Angela Nori, who is from Rhode Island, somewhat local to us.
Yeah.
She did women's physique. And again, we touched on this a bit in the wrap up, but the women's physique division is sort of morphed from what we had with Dana Lynn Bailey and Juliana Malacarne into more of a bodybuilder look. And, Angela's more of a throwback to those times where she's 6 feet tall, and she was 160 pounds and
Wow.
lean, super lean, but sleek and beautiful and just a really nice look. But she'll get her chance. She's just got to keep at it, just like the other guys. Just keep working. And one thing that I always say, I will always err on the side of condition as opposed to being huge to anyone I'm helping, because at least you can say you came in your best. Because just because you weigh a certain amount doesn't mean that's your best. You have to be fully conditioned, and they were. So, kudos to them.
Yeah.
They'll all get better.
I don't think too many people have ever made the decision to come into a show. I'm going to come in a little bigger and fuller and not as conditioned. I've heard people say that ahead of time, and I've never seen that work out well for anybody in all these years.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like
I was talking to Nate Spear today. He was in Gym Hub while I was working, and we talked. And I said, "What was different?" I said, "Because when I saw your pictures on Wednesday, he looked insane. His condition was spot on." And he said, "Yeah, we carved up for 3 days." And I said, "Okay, there you go. That made." And he said, we were experimenting. We were going for a different look, and it sort of backfired. I do think if he was his regular super dry, hard self, he might have placed a bit better. He wasn't going to be top 2, but he would have. I think he would have increased his chances anyway. And I believe he's going to go back to that for his next show. But yeah, rarely does that happen. Unless you're Flex Wheeler or Sean Roden, where you have the absolute perfect structure, and being fuller, you're still a cartoon compared to everyone else.
Just curious. I know you always limited your eating toward the very end, keep your midsection small and flat. Did you carb up or did you not even carb up? Did you just go in with the regular meals that you've been eating the
You
whole time?
know, it's funny. For most shows, I would be at 50 grams of carbs a day, maybe 100 on a higher day. Um, and so for me, carbing up meant 150 to 200 grams of carbs tops.
Hmm.
So that would just help me be a little less flat. And, I always preferred to be flat. I wish prejudging was at 7 a.m. So I'd wake up and just get on stage because
Yeah.
my stomach, I could pull a crazy vacuum.
Yeah.
And I was still so dense, I was an older guy. So I had plenty of muscle. But some of these younger guys, you can't play that game really. They got to eat more. But you learn as you go, and show to show, you see what's best for each individual, and you make those correct adjustments.
Yeah. Did you ever get an update on Noel Adame? Because Noel was Chris's client. He was 212 winner last year. I think based on what I know what he looks like, I think he would have pushed Kareth very, very hard at that show had he showed up, but he wasn't able to get down to the weight. But as far as I know, he never even went to the weigh-ins. This was by the time he got to New Jersey, did he already realize there was no way he was going to get to 212?
Yeah, he didn't weigh in. I don't have any recent updates.
Hmm.
I think he was just so devastated that he just couldn't get his mind together
Hmm.
how to handle it, and just, I think he's on to the next show.
Yeah.
So whether that be Chicago or Tampa, I don't know. He's got to get his weight down way ahead of time.
Yeah.
So when he lands in whatever city it is, he's already at or close to 212.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Toronto's coming right up. I would think if you're already in shape, you already spent all that time prepping, you try to find the next closest 212 show available rather than wait until August or something, personally.
Yeah, I don't know.
All that prep for nothing at all. And now you're going to go back into like an off season. It's rough. All right. Well, switching gears here. This Saturday in California, we have the California Pro. It's only got one pro division, men's open bodybuilding. There's a few of the people who were in New York Pro, but mostly it's some newer names. But I just want to start with what people are most people going to be paying attention to this rematch between Beef Stu and Tonio, because it was clearly the Beef Stu Tonio show at the New York Pro. That was the last call out. It was very clear that was the top two. Head judge Tyler was working them both, switching them back and forth. First of all, how close did you think it was? I mean, I know on the score sheet said perfect score for Tonio, but we both know that doesn't always mean it was like a blowout. Were they close? Was Tonio way ahead of him? What were your thoughts?
Well, with all due respect to Stu, it wasn't a blowout in the sense that he destroyed him,
Yeah.
but it was definitely straight ones across the board. If that makes sense, I bet each judge was very happy with Stu and thought he was the clear second place guy. But Tonio has something special that made him the clear winner to me. I wasn't hesitating at all to say he's going to win clearly, just because of his roundness and there's a genetic separation of the muscle, and it's a genetic shape and the tie-ins, and he's just superior. I don't even know that he was in better condition.
He wasn't. No, I've been looking at some of the footage, and Stu was definitely a little tighter than him condition wise, and he's bigger. There's no doubt he's because they're about the same height, and I want to say Stu's got 25 pounds on him easily, maybe more. But yeah, it's just a real. What do you do? It's a Tonio's physique is that real pretty aesthetic look with the bubbly roundness, the little tiny joints, that crazy V taper. It's very tough to beat somebody like that because people in the comment sections of our wrap ups are like, well, what if Stu tightens up for next weekend? Can he beat Tonio then?
No,
mean, he was his type.
Unless Tonio comes in off.
Mm, yeah.
Um, no, it's not like that. It's like you know, all right, this is my podcast today, so I can talk about myself, but
Oh,
it's the same reason I didn't beat Flex.
mm,
It's like banging my head against the wall. What the hell do I got to do? And Steve said to me, nothing. There's nothing you can do.
mm,
I'm like, all right, what am I going to do to be better to beat him? He's like, nothing. That just means genetically, structurally, unless Flex came in pregnant or something, I wasn't going to beat him, when we were later in our career anyway.
right.
And I think that's kind of the same thing. I think Tonio is just genetically superior. And unless he comes off, he's going to beat a lot of people.
I
And
mean,
I'll say it today. If he improves 10% condition wise, 15%, puts on a little more tissue before the Olympia,
mm,
I don't see why he can't be top 4 at the Olympia.
yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
see that many guys better than him.
no.
I don't, I think Derek, Hardy, Nick, and him could be, and they're all shorties. That could be a phenomenal top 4.
Imagine that.
And
Huh.
I'm seeing it. I think he could be as high as that.
And that would be, aside from Nick, that would be all former 212 guys in the top
There you
four of
go.
the top four of the Mr. Olympia. Imagine that. Wow.
Because they carry the weight, the size better on those smaller bone structures. It just looks more cartoonish.
Yeah. I mean, until before the lighter divisions, 202 and then 212 came along, there's been plenty of guys over the years. We've talked about this many times. Going back to like Danny Padilla, Franco Columbo, Lee Priest, Momo Benaziza. There were plenty of guys who were shorter and lighter that used to demolish the taller, heavier guys routinely because they just had better physiques.
Yeah.
Great physique is a great physique, whatever height or weight it is. So
Mark my words.
no, I'm marking them right now.
Remember
Everybody,
this.
did you hear that? November 7th, guys, we'll find out. But you can go back to this, which was done in late May, see
Yeah.
if Jose's crystal
We're gonna
ball
get a
came
lot
true.
of shit in the comments, but Tonio at very least will be in the first call out.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all. I mean, if say it's a six-man call out, it's a tight top six, but still, he is that good. All right,
Yeah.
so let's look at some other guys in the show. We got Slavoj Bednar from Czech Republic, who just took 12th at New York Pro. Looks good. This is not the strongest lineup, so these guys have a chance. Some of these guys will have a real chance to make a name for themselves, just like at this past show. Wesley Boxley from California. I'm not totally familiar with him. You know who Wesley is? The name's familiar.
Is
Uh,
he is he do you know what he looks like?
no, I'll have to look up on it. We're going to pull up some pictures on this so people can look at it, but I should have looked at
Okay.
more at the pictures. Tonio, we got Nathan Dandridge, got him Rafael Del Real. Ross Flanagan is doing the show. I have seen Ross. He's from the Flavor Gang. Is that what his what's his company
Yeah, this
called?
dude is morphed. I saw him yesterday on Instagram, and his quads have grown like exponentially. His arms, he's a big dude. He's kind of like a bigger version of Stu,
Oh,
like a crazy wide guy with huge legs and
full
uh,
mustache. Yeah. He was in Indy Pro last year, and I know something went wrong at the very last minute. I think he was flat or spilled or something didn't go right, but I still thought he looked pretty good last year when I saw him at Indy. RIP Indy
I
Pro. That
think
was a
he's
great
a
show.
completely different person between then and now.
Yeah, he's had a little over a year, so I can see that. So good luck to Ross. You know this guy from Korea, Song Chol Lee. We've seen him a few times.
Yeah,
Big dude. He's like 5'11", maybe 6 foot.
yeah.
Big guy. I've yet to see him really great condition in any of the shows I've seen him in so far. So hopefully he rectifies that for this. Sung Chul. We were actually having a discussion at the show on the scorecard on the competitor sheets. It'll say Korea or South Korea, and we were arguing about whether Korea means they're from. It would have to be South Korea because you don't think in North Korea they can be bodybuilders and like you know be allowed to travel outside the country and compete. And I
No.
don't know if that it's a communist country, isn't it?
Yes,
I mean,
there's no North Koreans in the Olympia or competing in the IFBB.
fair enough. Josue Placencia, formerly from Mexico, now in California. Big dude. Not the prettiest structure. He's a tall guy with a little bit of a wider waist, but he comes in good shape. Stuart Sutherland, we already talked about. That's Beef Stew. For those of you who don't know, Beef Stew is Stuart Sutherland. It's a hell of a nickname. Here's a question for you about Stu. Some people didn't like the hair. They thought it was like disrespectful. I heard somebody say disrespectful, like, oh, how dare you show up with hair like that, or distracting. Did you find it distracting, or do you think it gives him like a real unique identity?
Distracting to what?
Like it takes away from his physique because you're so busy looking at that big mop of hair.
I don't know. No, I don't think it's nobody looked at his hair. I mean, you looked at his hair, but it wasn't factored in the judging.
Right.
Like
Well,
if he only had a high and tight haircut, he would have beat Tonio. No.
yeah. I mean, personally, like we've talked about, there's so many guys guys in their 20s and 30s in bodybuilding who have lost their hair or are losing their hair. It's cool to see somebody with such a crazy full head of hair. It's
Yes.
refreshing. We need more of that.
Yeah. It adds to his character, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, you're not going to forget this guy with that nickname and that hair. He's
No.
and a physique to back it all up.
Yeah.
You're not going to forget Beef Stew. He's on the rise. And finally, Mariusz Tomczuk from Poland, who was 13th in New York. So should be a quick show. One pro division. I think it's being held with an amateur show. So I'm going to watch the pay-per-view, see how that goes. But
No Sergio.
Still have yet to hear anything about it. I'd love to have Sergio on one of these shows. Because I don't know the situation. Do you talk to Sergio at all?
Here and there. I didn't, but as far as I know, they're still waiting for the okay for
Hmm.
him to come over here.
Because condition wise, he's looked like ready to go for a while now. Like he was supposed to, I know he wanted to do New York Pro. He wanted to do all these shows. It's just a situation of not being able to freely travel yet because of what went on over there. But I wish he would get his butt over here and compete because he should be winning shows. He should be top five in the Olympia every damn year. You know, it's like
He very well could be. You know, he's grown a shitload.
yeah.
Am
What do
I
you think?
allowed to swear in here, or are you going to bleep it? You can
What's
bleep
that? Well, you can swear. Go ahead.
it. I
We
just
just
keep
did. Oh no, I thought you were going to unleash a whole slew of expletives
Oh
at
no,
me.
no, no. I'm just saying he has grown a ton,
Mm,
Sergio. He's probably in that condition you're seeing on Instagram.
yeah.
He's probably still 290, 292, something like
Wow.
that.
Yeah. I mean,
That's a giant dude.
he's come a long way. And
Yeah.
are you hearing all this lawn care going on? Jeez, that's loud. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up because they decided they decided to come do my lawn. He's a great guy, but his timing is awful. So I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Go to the Boston Mass channel on YouTube. There's especially some really cool videos of Nate Tello being trained by Jose, leading up to the this New York Pro Show on there. A lot of good content on there. Of course, the website is back up and active. TheBostonMass.com, correct?
Yeah.
BostonMass.com, all kinds of cool stuff, merch. And of course, if you're in Boston, we always recommend you go to Gym Hub Boston on Instagram. Great gym, great people. You might even get to see Jose there if you're lucky. And that's it, man. Thank you so much, Jose, for taking the
My pleasure,
time.
buddy.
And guys, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, of course, turn on notification bells and all that. And join us next time when we do another one of these episodes of No Way Jose, starring the Boston Mass, Jose Raymond. Thanks for watching. Ooh. Hey, did you like that video? Smash that like button, subscribe to MD, and please comment down below. Thanks for watching.